What if the life you are most attached to has never actually happened? Right now, today, there's an argument running inside your head, a conversation you keep replaying, a scenario you have rehearsed so many times it feels more real than anything in front of you, and the person you are arguing with, they have no idea it is happening. This is a paradox. The more vividly you imagine your life, the less of it you are actually living. You are not broken, but something was quietly planted in you, early without your consent, that turned your mind into a courtroom that never closes, where every conversation gets retried, every verdict gets appealed, where you are always the one who was misunderstood, always the one who should have said something different. By the end of this video, Marcus Aurelius will show you exactly what that thing is and how to finally walk out of that courtroom for good. It started before you had words for it. Maybe the home you grew up in felt unpredictable. One day things were fine. The next, the atmosphere changed without warning, and you never quite knew why. Maybe love in your house came with conditions. Maybe the people around you were not emotionally safe. Not because they were cruel, but because they were carrying wounds of their own and had no idea how to hold yours too. And so you did what every sensitive, intelligent child does when the outside world cannot be trusted. You went inside. You heard it in small, ordinary moments. Stop being so dramatic. You're too sensitive. Nobody wants to hear that. And something in you learned, not with words, not consciously, but deep in the body, that your feelings were a problem. That reality was a place that punished you for being too much. So you built a safer one. A place where you finally won the argument, where they understood you, where you said exactly the right thing, and their face changed. Where you were loved without having to shrink yourself first. Inside your mind, the ending was always the one you deserved. That was the gift, and that was the trap. But here is the disturbing part. The child who escaped into imagination grew into an adult who never left. Now, when a relationship gets hard, you do not talk, you rehearse. When anxiety shows up, you run mental simulations of every possible disaster until fear feels somehow manageable. Psychologists call this rumination, a thought loop that feels like problem solving, but is actually your nervous system stuck on repeat, trying to protect you from a danger that has already passed. The Stoics had a precise name for this mechanism, and when you hear it, something in you is going to recognize itself immediately. But what you have been calling a coping strategy, Marcus Aurelius would call something far more dangerous. Marcus Aurelius was not a philosopher sitting in comfort. He ruled the most powerful empire in the ancient world. He commanded armies. He buried children. He governed through plague, betrayal, and constant war. And every single morning, before he faced any of it, he sat alone and wrote in a private journal, never intended for anyone else's eyes. He wrote to discipline his own mind, because he understood one thing that most people spend their entire lives missing. The mind does not experience reality. It experiences its version of reality. The Stoics call this the Phantasia, the mental impression, the internal image your mind builds an event, filtered through your fears, your old memories, and the story you were given about yourself as a child. A Phantasia is not what happened. It is what your wounded mind decided happened. And this is where most people get trapped. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He was not being poetic. He was making a precise psychological observation that the human mind, left untrained, will generate suffering far beyond what reality actually delivers. Here is your diagnosis. You are not anxious about life. You are caught inside an anxiety loop, a mental simulation your mind keeps running, because a simulation, no matter how painful, feels more controllable than the unpredictable truth of what is real. And here is what makes it so dangerous. The imaginary argument feels more urgent than the actual conversation in front of you. The simulated rejection feels more certain than the real relationship standing right beside you. Your brain would rather replay pain it already understands and face uncertainty it cannot control. Read that again. Let it land. So ask yourself, who does this serve? Who actually benefits from your mind being permanently locked inside scenarios that do not exist? The answer is closer than you think. The villain is not the people in your imaginary scenarios. It is not the past. It is not even the anxiety. It is a part of you that made a silent decision, somewhere early, somewhere painful, that the unknown is more dangerous than suffering you can predict. The Stoics call these patterns paths, disordered mental states that pull the mind away from what is real and into what is only felt. Modern psychology calls it overthinking, but both are describing the same trap. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. You call it preparation. You tell yourself you are just being careful, being realistic, thinking things through, but it is not preparation. It is fear wearing the mask of intelligence. Here is the real mechanism. Your mind keeps running these simulations because a simulation, no matter how painful, can be paused, rewound, rewritten. Reality cannot. And deep beneath your awareness, a painful outcome you have already imagined feels far safer than a real outcome you cannot predict. You call it empathy, always sensing what others might feel. But look closer. It is a child who learned to read the room before the storm arrived. You were taught by unpredictable love, by rooms where your emotions were a burden, that if you just think hard enough, simulate long enough, you can protect yourself from being blindsided again. But the real danger is something else entirely. Every hour your mind spends inside a fake scenario is an hour stolen from your actual life, and you have been paying that price for years without ever seeing the invoice. But there's a way out, and it begins with what Marcus Aurelius called prohairesis, the trained, deliberate act of choosing where your mind is allowed to go. Marcus Aurelius did not have a calm mind. He had a disciplined one. There is a difference that changes everything. He did not escape his thoughts. He examined them every morning with complete honesty. He returned his mind to what was real, what was true, and what was actually within his power. And then he did it again the next day, and every day after that. 3 steps, Stoic, practical, and available to you starting today. Step 1, name the Phantasia. The moment you catch yourself inside an imaginary scenario, do not fight it and do not follow it. Name it. Say it plainly, out loud, or in writing. This is a Phantasia. This is a mental simulation. This is not reality. Marcus Aurelius called this stripping the story, seeing the bare fact without the emotional weight your mind wrapped around it. In real life, this looks like pausing mid-rumination and saying simply, I am imagining this. It has not happened. I am safe right now. That single act of naming interrupts the anxiety loop before it pulls you under. Step 2, return to the senses. The Stoics understood that the present moment is always accessible through the body. When your mind escapes into simulation, your body stays in reality. Feel the floor beneath your feet. Notice what is physically around you. Hear the actual sounds in the actual room you are in. This is not a breathing exercise. This is a philosophical act, a deliberate choice to return to what is real. The mind cannot fully live in 2 places at once. Give it something real to anchor to. Step 3, ask the Stoic question. Marcus Aurelius came back to this question constantly. Is this within my control? Apply it to whatever scenario your mind is currently running. Can you control the imaginary outcome you are rehearsing? No. Can you control your response to what actually happens? Yes. Every minute inside a Phantasia is a minute spent investing in something you have zero power over. Redirect it, deliberately, repeatedly, toward what is real, what is now, and what is genuinely yours to act on. One honest warning. It will get harder before it gets easier. A mind trained in simulation does not give it up quietly. The scenarios will feel more vivid at first. Stay in reality will feel almost unbearable on some days. That is not failure. That is the wound finally meeting the light. The person on the other side of this work is someone you may not fully recognize yet. They sit inside difficult conversations without silently rehearsing their exit. They love people without pre-writing how it ends. They walk into the unknown without needing to run every possible outcome first. Not because they are fearless, because they have learned that real life, messy, unscripted, and uncertain, is the only one that actually counts. The signs that this is already working. You catch the Phantasia faster than you used to. The imaginary scenario feels slightly less convincing. You choose, even once, even briefly, to stay inside a difficult, real moment instead of escaping into your head. These are not small shifts. These are everything. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every time reality is uncomfortable and you choose to stay in it anyway, you are not just surviving. You are becoming the person the wounded child inside you always needed to be. You have permission to stop rehearsing your life. It is time to actually live it. I want you to do something right now. Before you scroll, before you close this video, think of the one imaginary scenario your mind returns to most. The argument, the conversation, the moment you keep rewriting. And type just one word in the comments that describes it. One word. That is all. Because naming it here, in public, even anonymously, that is the first real act of stepping out of simulation. If this video reached something inside you, subscribe. Every video on this channel is built for the person who is tired of living inside their own head and ready to show up fully in their real life. And the next video, watch it now. It goes even deeper into why your mind runs these scenarios at night, and the one Stoic practice Marcus Aurelius used every single morning to stay grounded in what was real. Do not wait. Your mind is already building the next scenario. Choose reality instead.